Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the first roundtable in the University of Vienna Institute of Islamic Studies in the line with the project Citizenship, Education and Islam. My name is Michael Kramer, and the topic today is Muslim man's role in the society. Of course, in this society, but also in the society of the country of origin of the participants today. A lot was said and written about the women's role in Islam, their rights, their duties, that it is fair just to speak about the men's role, their rights, their views, their ideas, especially after the incidents in Cologne, where some or quite a lot Arab men from Middle Eastern countries and North African countries were accused for harassment, sexual harassment on women. So there are some questions arise, like how does the Islam influence the Muslim behavior? Which role does sexuality play for young Muslim men before marriage? And of course the gender role, if it's consistent with the right of equality in Europe. So therefore the Citizenship Education project invited three nice young gentlemen from different origin, with different perspectives on the society, and therefore I will introduce you to them. On my right side, Mr. Ahmad Al-Jaber, 26 years old, Palestinian, has the Jordanian passport. As we all know, the situation in Israel and Palestine, it's not that easy. Spent most of his lifetime, or quite a lot, in Dubai, where your parents live. He has the residence status of a student because you study electro engineering at the Technical University of Vienna. Thank you for coming.
Happy to be here.
On the left side, Haris Agovic. He is Austrian, 20 years old. He is the youngest in this round. He's born here in Mistelbach in Lower Austria. His nationality, but is not Austrian. He is Montenegrin.
Yes, Montenegrin.
Yeah. He has therefore an unlimited residence, and he's attending the College for Architecture and Engineering.
Right.
Welcome. And on my left side, Mr. Said Salah. You are 25 years old, and is your birthday today?
My birthday was 2 days ago.
3
days ago. 3 days ago. Thank you.
He's from Iraq originally, traveled a lot. He's applied 8 months ago for asylum, and you're still waiting for the positive letter.
Yeah.
Inshallah, it will work. He is the head translator where he works at the Train of Hope.
Yeah.
Welcome as well. Thank you for coming. Yes, let's start. Let's go in medias res. There are a lot of interesting questions. Ahmad, you're here 7 years now. You know the Austrian society, you know the pluralistic Islamic society. What would you say, how does it differ, the man's role from here to Palestine or Dubai, where you grew up? Is there any difference?
It depends, of course, on what kind of man you are, like how old you are, and if you are married, if you are not married, and where do you live. Like, I'm pretty sure there is a big difference between the people who live in Vienna, in a city, or in a village outside Vienna. People have different duties and have.
But for example, you when you are in Dubai, you go to a mosque. It's just next street. Here, you.
Of course. But there is something like just came to my mind. Where I grew up, like in Dubai, there are a lot of immigrants also. So most of the people are not Muslims, but of course you hear the adhan every day, and you go to the mosque, or you see people going to the mosque, so you have this feeling that you are in a Islamic society. And about the roles, what exactly are the roles of the men? I think, like, as a Muslim, like wherever you live, you have to do like the roles which are good for your society, and that makes your country and society better. But the Islam is something that is for you yourself, like, and between you and your God. So that's my perspective.
But it does not make a difference that you do not hear the adhan. For you, it comes, Islam is in the heart.
It's something nice to hear, and I think it's of course it's comfortable. But some people like also the bells ring from the church, and some people it's annoying for them. So I think it's something.
Thank you. Said,
Yeah.
you are here not 7 years but 7 months. After living in Yemen, Jordan, Iraq, you know quite good or perfectly the situation. What do you expect of the life here from this liberal society? I mean, we have women, most of them do not wear hijab. A lot of women have miniskirts, or you see even naked girls from the poster. How is it a cultural shock if you come from a foreign culture to this liberal culture, to this Austrian culture?
We live in the year 2016, where the internet has revolutionized and redefined human interaction. Prime example is so many people, and I myself have learned English based upon media, whether it's TV, whether it's movies, whether it's all that, and that has broken down the walls, that has broken down the barriers in between people and amongst them. Which brings me to the point in which, was there a culture shock? Not necessarily, no, because of course there's a little bit here and there's a little bit there, but to label it a culture shock would not be correct, because it's again, thanks to the media and thanks to all, I already have a preconceived idea of what to expect here. And has it filled my expectation? Yes, but at the same time, it's been, again, in the movies, you see an explosion, it's huge, you know what I mean? So you think, okay, that's how explosions look, but they don't look like that. And then it's a similar concept to the idea that the West portrays itself through media and movies and whatnot and what for. So no, there hasn't really been much of a culture shock, but yeah.
What for your Muslim friends here? I mean, you traveled a lot. You have quite an idea what's going on in this world. Yeah. For you, probably it's easier. But can you imagine that for some Muslim men, that for them it's a cultural shock? Or would you say, no, come on, it's as it is?
Absolutely. You have. To say Muslim men is, I don't think I can address that exactly, because it's a big group of people, and my ideology is different from yours, which is different from Ahmed, which is different from Harris. So it's different from one person to another. But yes, you have those people that, for instance, I'm from Baghdad. And you have somebody that comes from Basra. My ideology would be completely different from his. Culturally, and our personalities would be completely different, and our expectations at that as well. Yes, a lot of people do face difficulty, and a lot of people do face a little bit of culture shock, and they have a difficult time integrating, which is the core thing that needs to be done. That way we could all get our cultures together, combine my culture with your culture, with his, and we can all take the good, bring the positive, work it out. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it possible? Absolutely.
Oh, that's nice words. Yeah, everything is possible. It should be pluralistic at the end. Harris, you grew up here. You were born here. no one knows this culture better than you. There is, if we are Muslim and we study the Quran, we know the Quran, it is conservative as well from the role, men, women, the gender role. Is it difficult to live these roles in Austria for you?
First of all, I grew up here in Austria and I know the culture perfect. I mean, I think I know the Austrian culture better than the culture of my country of origin. And I know I don't have problems with the society or with the law because we have in Austria the religious freedom, and I'm able to pray 5 times a day or to go to the mosque, and because in Austria we have also it's a multicultural country and people are tolerant, and that's what's important, to be tolerant. And yes, there's always a difference between the Islam in Iraq or Saudi Arabia and the Islam in Austria, because the law is also another. In Saudi Arabia you have the Sharias, and in Austria have democracy. But as a Muslim, you are able to live your Islamic lifestyle in Austria, as well as maybe in Iraq and so on. I think it's not a problem.
I want to speak about the gender role. Seems to be conservative, as I mentioned it already. So Quran Nisa 34 says, men are in charge of women by right of what God has given one over the other and what they spend for maintenance from their wealth. So do you see it as Austrian? You don't have the nationality, but
yes.
It doesn't matter. You grew up here, you are a citizen. This role, would you say it's consisting with the lifestyle here? That
first of all, there's a difference, biologically difference between man and woman, and also in the Islam it's a difference between man and woman. Not only in Islam, also in the Christianity and in other religions. But I think it's not a problem. We know from the life of our Prophet, and he always says in authentic hadith that the best among us is the one who is the best to his wife. And here we see that our Prophet, who we love, that he teaches us to be good to our wife, to the women. And there will always be some people, not because of the Islam or because of the Quran, because of themselves, because they will treat a woman not equal like a man, or they will be intolerant against women. But it's not a problem of the Islam. I think it's a problem of the individual and how somebody thinks, and how somebody also read the verse in the Quran and then then think about this verse. First of all, we have to educate ourselves also in the Islamic way, and then to live it.
okay, Ahmad.
Yes, if you read please the ayah, the verse again, then can you please read it, please?
Men are in charge of women by right of what God has given one over the other and what they spend for maintenance from their wealth.
Yes, exactly. So in charge, the word in Arabic it's al-qawama. And in charge, and if you read like the sentence now, the whole sentence, it doesn't make sense, because how does men are in charge of women with the money they spend from their allowance? I am a man and I don't spend any money on every woman, so how am I in charge of these women? So the word is, I think, misunderstood. It's not in charge, it's actually that the man has to provide for their woman. So the men in Islam, and this is one of the most important roles for men, is to provide. It's a must. So if men does not or if a man is not able to provide, and his woman woman is rich or she can help him, she get like good deeds from God. But if a man helps his wife and this is like a must do for him, it's forced by Islam for a man to help his wife, he is not granted any good deeds from God. So this word is, I think, misunderstood, and that's why the whole verse is kind of...
Let's say the man provides from his wealth what he is forced to spend his wealth for, how should I say, to keep the family together, to spend, yes. Does this at the same time mean that the woman does not need to go to work? She does not need to provide anything for the family? And if yes, because for me it reads like this, if yes, is that possible in a time, or to tell a wife, a woman here, stay at home, don't go to work, the man has to do? Is that possible?
First of all, I don't know where to start. It's okay. So if you, I've had this conversation before where a person who was who didn't believe, he was an atheist, and there's nothing wrong with that. He came to me and he informed me that, oh, your religion teaches men that they're in charge of their women. And I was like, how? And he said, and men should be in charge of their, and he read the translation, and I was like, he just said men are in charge of their women, and he ended it over there. I was like, that's it? And he's like, yes. People like that have a lot in common with the radicals, because my view is not similar to his or the radicals, because if a radical is sitting there, then he will agree. He will agree with what the non-religious person said. If we trace it back into our ancestors, we realize that biologically speaking, it's science, which is, you can, it's proven, it's something that we can test, that the structure of a man is different from the structure of a woman. So we trace it back throughout history. When we were cavemen, okay, the men used to go out and the men used to get the food. The woman used to stay, wherever they were, and take care and prepare for the meal and prepare for that. Times change, we've evolved with time, we've had easier access, which brings me to the point in which, of course, it has changed, but at our core, in our instinct, we are still the same. We are still, no matter how smart we'd like to think, and no matter how, we have a smartphone, we're still mammals, and we're still, we have that natural instinct, which means women do have a more leaning, they lean more towards the taking care of the children and helping raise them. And the man helps provide because he's biologically built into being able to do things, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the woman cannot. But to go back to your question, does it necessarily mean that the woman cannot work? Absolutely not, because with time things have gotten easier, which means I would never ever marry someone who would tell me, oh, I just want to stay at home. And really, if that should be a two-way thing, because we're both working at something, and we both should be able to provide for the family should I get sick, or if anything, there should not be one source of income, there should be multiple sources of income. And that's why I believe when you mention the ayah, it means that men are the protectors, men are the providers. It is the responsibility of a man, due to his biological structure, that he should be able to provide, that he should be able to rise up to the occasion and to the responsibility and be able to provide for his family, for his women. And that's what the ayah continues to say.
I think it's also important to read the ayah before and after, or the whole surah, because you can take only one ayah and take it from the context. The meaning is the meaning can become completely different, and it's I think it's very important to read the whole surah and so.
Yes. Good. So at the end, we can say there is no subjugation or subordination from the man under the man.
Mm-hmm.
So equality is given in Islam.
I think it's
We agree?
given, but I don't agree with him saying like the woman like goes more toward staying at home or I don't know, not as much as men like to go and work and nowadays or a lot of women they just want to work, they don't want to be a mother, or just like some men feel like they can be a housewife. And we are living in a different time, and I don't think like when you read this verse, it doesn't mean that if you are the man biologically you have to do this and this. No, it means when you are providing, then this is your duties. So if you are a man or woman, it's actually related to what you are doing and what is your duty. So
Will God a question to all of you. Will God judge you if you cannot provide for the woman?
I don't think so.
Would he judge different?
If you are doing your best, if you are trying like everything you can, some people are poor, some people are rich, some people have rich parents, some people are handicapped, some people. So if you have disability, or if you have trouble in life, or if you tried the business and didn't work out, so this is life. I don't think God will be like will.
Do you agree?
I mean, I agree, but just to get back on the point, I did not necessarily say a woman lean towards staying at home. I just said women have more of an emotional connection with the child, which means that she feels more of a, not to say responsibility, but more of a connection with, an intimate connection with the child to help him, raise him.
What if there is no child?
Well, I mean, we're talking if there is a child, that's why. But of course, you're right, times have changed, and I did hit on that point. Times have changed, and people will, at this day and age, I said it myself, I would personally, it would be annoying to not annoying, but it would be counterproductive to marry someone who has the talents and the skills to work, and they just choose to stay at home. But that's my personal my personal opinion. Could you please repeat the question?
No, it's good. I just wanted that the response of Ahmed. So good. The superior position of the man is not given. They have the same rights regarding to education, work. They are allowed to travel alone. Mm-hmm. So women do not need to ask if they get the allowance. I mean, this is a progress in this society, but we all know there is in the Arab culture, especially also in Palestine, where the daughter of the father cannot just travel alone by her own choice. So when we say we Muslim men, we are in Austria living in this society, do we say yes, we want to have this freedom also for women, or we say we wish that the men are more in charge again of control? I say controlling women, because I say she should not go to work, she should not travel, she should do what I say. Like for example, Saudi Arabia. So it's very conservative. We can now say that does not really has to do with Islam. We all know that's the most easiest sentence comes out, but it's somehow there is always a theology behind it. So would we say we wish to have, or we can live in this freedom, in this free society?
So your question is it possible to have Islam be compatible with a free, open society? Absolutely, because we've seen it work. We've seen it happen a million times before. We've seen it in Indonesia, we've seen it in Turkey. We've seen it in countries that have had more female politicians than the United States of America. We've seen it happen before. In those countries, you will find the burqa and the hijabi, and then you will find the mini skirts and again, we've seen it happen before. The thing about Saudi Arabia is they have reached to the point in which they are mixing their culture with religion, and they're giving their culture the excuse by using religion. It is so easy to manipulate something. It is so easy for me to take this plant right now and knock it off that table. And you ask me and I'll tell you an ayah from the Quran that has nothing to do with it. It's very easy to do that. But it's often been beaten to death that, oh yeah, Islam has nothing to do with that. But sometimes there's an actual point to it, because the vast majority of the people will tell you, absolutely, Islam is very compatible. And the prime example of that are modern huge Islamic countries like, again, Indonesia, like Turkey, like other countries that have adapted to advancement, that have adapted to technology and to cultural progression. And that's what's important here. That's an absolute 100%. There's no questions asked. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to say that it's important for us in the European culture and also in the Western culture that when, for example, a woman stays at home, she's not going to work because of her children, everyone talks about she's oppressed, or it's because her religious, because Islam and because of her man. No, I would like that the people respect her decision and not to talk every time, yes, it's because of the Islam. You know, every time when you see something bad in a Muslim, you always say, yes, it's because of his religion. When I see something bad in Austria, I don't say it's because you're a Christian. I say no, it's because of you. And they have to respect and to respect the ideology of the Muslims, not the Western and the European culture. It's maybe, in our opinion, the best and the only real lifestyle, but not in their opinion. They're living this way since thousands of years, and they believe in that, and we have also to respect this.
Mm-hmm. Ahmad, the same question to you. For Muslim men living in this liberal society, do you think Muslim men wish to have more control over their women here?
I don't think it's like control, but I have to. I have to address a point. I think we say in Arabic there is no smoke without a fire. So when we see like a lot of Arabs or the same problems keep happening to the Muslims or to the Arabs, then there is 100% a reason why this is happening. So it's true what I agree with him about. I kind of mixed some ideas that
free society that
that Indonesia.
Exactly. It's possible in other countries as well.
Yes, but what I meant is the reason why the Arabs like kind of, I think, control their women is kind of also kind of protection. They think like women or our daughters or sisters or mothers need more protection. So for us, the woman is kind of like very valuable, and it comes also to the if somebody like say some bad words about your mother or about your sister, it's very, very bad for us. So that's why I think it has something to do with the way we are somehow protective, overprotective. But it also depends on where you come from and which country and which society. And I agree with him on the point that the people mix up between Islam and culture. That's a very, very important point.
To refer to what Ahmad just said, there is another opinion of Said. What do you think when Ahmad says comes out from a tradition that men are used to protect women? What's your opinion about that?
To a certain degree, he is right, but again, it's 2016 at this point. What happens when we can call it protection? I will call it insecurity. When a woman, right now, if she wants, why cannot she travel by herself? Is it for protection? But she doesn't have to go through a forest. She goes to the airplane, completely safe. She lands, security all over. It's a widespread. It's a very public environment. I don't feel like it's a part of it is a little bit, and that depends on the limits in which we and how we approach the scenario. But mostly it's a huge form of insecurity that has to be addressed, because if we give those people the excuse that it is protection, and if we do not criticize their what is their culture, and I will not refer to it as their religion, because again we get back to if we take religion, then we make out of religion what we are. So if I open the Quran and I am an evil person that wants to kill everyone, I'm not going to read all the ayahs and the surahs about peace and love and how Allah is the God of mercy. I won't do that. Or if I do, I'll completely neglect it. I will go straight forward to the ayat where it's like, oh, and kill your enemy and whatnot and what forth, and I'll take it out of context. Which is why, again, this is no longer protection at this day and age. In 2000, it's no longer about protection. It is absolutely a form of insecurity. It's a form of misogyny. It's a form of control, and that has to be addressed. And we have to call it for what it is. And I completely disagree with him that it's protection. I don't think so. And yeah.
I would say the most problems in the Islamic countries are because of the tradition and the culture. But I don't want to say that you're right when you say we have to criticize when someone is protecting his wife or he's in charge for here, because when we go from the Islamic side, from the Quran, because God says in the Quran, and sometimes you think something is good for you, but it's bad for you, and sometimes you think something is good for you, it's bad, but it's good. God knows, but the people don't know, and God knows the best. And maybe there are some points in the Quran, and there are some verses in the Sunnah and in the life of the Prophet that you have to protect your wife and so on. And maybe someone calls it that it's oppression against the woman, but there is in the Quran, and maybe we think it's not good, but it can be on the other side good for us, because when we believe that it's the book from God, we have to believe that God knows best what's best for us.
So you can understand that there are Muslim men in Austria wish that the parliament is giving more focus on the Islamic point of view, that there should be more protection from the men over the women.
I want to say that we have to respect both opinions. That when someone thinks he has to protect his wife and don't let her go to work, when the wife says, okay, I'm with it, I think it's okay. But when she says, I want to go to work, okay, then it's a problem there. But I don't see a problem when both of them, when the man and the woman, when both come to a decision that they want to do that. I think it's okay.
So it's an individual decision which should not be regulated by parliament or by the regulator in this case. But it's I think to question if we still need this out of the tradition, that it does not have to do so much with the Islam itself. So how do we face it, Ahmed? Where is the solution? How can Muslim men get over this protection?
Actually, maybe you misunderstood me, but I didn't say that it should be like this. I said that this does exist.
Yeah,
the thing does exist. People say like, no, Islam doesn't, and Muslims don't do this and that. No, it does exist. But is it because of Islam? I don't think so. But is it because? But then why does it exist? It exists because I think Arabs or like the countries where Islam mostly is, people are kind of think like the women are more valuable to them than a lot of stuff, or like the most valuable thing for them, and that's why they sometimes overreact or do the stuff. But on the other hand, there are some stuff which I think that it's nice. Which, for example, I think that most people look at the hijab as something to protect their women from other men and to protect them from being I don't know, like
fear.
No, it's like yes, some men are afraid on their women, or people think like when I tell my wife to wear a hijab, or when somebody doesn't want his woman to go out, that it's because he's afraid that somebody will talk to his wife or something like this. But actually, it's not like that. It's more like, this is my own opinion. If you have something which is very, very valuable, if you have like a super nice car, I don't think you will park it in a lazy neighborhood and leave the doors open and say, no, it's okay, it's my woman. I will leave the door open and everybody can have a look at it and go in and take a ride. No, I don't think so. I think people he will lock it, he will put it in a garage, and he will take good care of her. And I think that this has something to do with the hijab. The hijab is not like okay, I will protect my wife. No, it's actually just like to give the people kind of aware that I am not a woman to mess with, or to bad mouth me, or to say something.
Okay, so you.
I want to touch on his point first. Yes, some if a woman would like to if a woman would like to work, then that's fine. If she doesn't, then it's a if she doesn't want to work, it's fine. But if she does, then it's a problem. I think that yes, he's absolutely correct, and I agree with him. However, we also have to acknowledge that these women are being programmed from childhood, from a very young age, that working is not necessarily for them, and I feel like that's what we have to address. That leaving the house, going to a mall, having fun, doing certain things. And again, I'm not talking. This is not about. This is not a Muslim problem. This is a conservative country problem. This is a problem of Iran. This is a problem of Saudi Arabia. This is a problem of other countries that are so locking in on that situation. I cannot elaborate because time is an issue. But again, he mentioned something about men being protective of the woman and car and the parking, and I have to disagree wholeheartedly, because there's a saying in Arabic which is إنما الأعمال في النيات, which means your actions are based upon your intentions. So it's your intentions that count the most. If I'm a person who wants to go out and do bad things, okay, whatever bad is to each one of us, then I will go out and I will do it. And there's no hijab, there's no officer, there's no religion that can stop me, because I'm a free person, and if I have something in mind, then I will do it. So I don't. I think it's not a very proper way to address the situation by saying that it's women should, if because I know plenty of non-hijabi women,
of course,
that are so much more in touch with their religion than a hijabi person. So a hijab doesn't necessarily mean that it will protect you. A hijab is just like religion. It should be something between you and your God. And that is not something that a man or a husband or anybody should enforce upon you. Because if I enforce a hijab upon my wife, she's not doing it for God, she's doing it for me. And that's not the purpose of the hijab.
So would anybody of you say that the fear that a woman does zina, so going with another man, or I have a better translation to zina, that there is from men a bigger fear that she does zina, or is there a fear from her as well that the man does zina? Because for me it's somehow always the man needs to protect and fear that the woman does not something not correct, but it's also the other way around. I mean, who says the women that the man is always correct to her wife?
I don't think that the hijab is like protecting her from doing the wrong thing. I think it's like most. I've never thought about the hijab showing like, this is a good person or this is a good woman.
I did not mean the hijab at all. I just talk about the fear which comes from the man, but the fear is probably as well at the woman's side, so that the man does not or has another woman.
I would just come back to his sentence before with that a man is told his wife to wear hijab. It's not correct, because we see in the Quran, in the Surah Al-Baqarah, La ikraha fi din, there is no force in religion. And when you do something for God, you do this because you believe in this, not because of your man. When you wear hijab because of your man, because your man says, I don't want other men to look on you, it's a completely wrong way of Islam, okay? But when a girl decides to wear a hijab or a niqab or something like this, we have to respect that. And the fear from doing zina from girls is, I think, it's a traditional problem, a very big traditional problem in our culture, also in Montenegro, that we see it like this. Okay, a young man can do whatever he wants, but a girl has to be good, to sit at home, but that's not Islam. There is the same punishment when you do zina for a man and also for a woman, for a girl. And I think we have to know this, and don't forget this, that there are the same rules for man and for woman.
I hope I didn't misspoke, but I didn't mean that when a man tells his wife to do this. I meant when a man has a wife which wears hijab, and that's how we feel. As I think everybody knows, a man cannot tell his wife to wear hijab or to do this or to do
there
that.
is no force in the religion. Thinner, by the way, who watch us in video, is fornication. Just now I got the right one. So let's come for a short last question, especially in this for the feelings and for the attributes. What would you say, in very short, are the typical man attributes for Muslim men? Ahmed, are you, for example, you romantic?
With who?
Yeah, if you are not married, I understand. Yes, you can. There brings me to the next question.
I think that in general the Arabs and they are kind of like maybe scared or doesn't like to show their emotions, or like I know most of the Arab guys or the Muslim guys, like when they are walking with their wives, maybe they don't like to hold their hands, or they don't like to kiss in public, or they don't. I know this because I know some married guys who said no, I would never do this. But I think it has nothing to do with Islam. Islam actually encourage the men to be polite, to be romantic, to be proud of their wives and to be proud of their love. But the culture kind of enforce itself on the Muslims. So people think that it is something that has to do with Islam, but I think it doesn't.
Haris, for you, what's about the feelings, to show feelings? I mean, is it usual or not usual? Because that means that it would happen probably every day. But do men cry outside their private sphere, or would they never show it, just because?
It's a difference what a Muslim man has to do and what he is really doing. Okay, But I would say it's different from the individual. But from the Islamic way, a Muslim man has to show his feelings to his wife. Maybe not in the public because it's a private thing, and it's something private. But we know it from the Sunnah of our Prophet that you have to be romantic, really romantic to your wife. For example, there are many hadiths about the Prophet, peace be upon him, how he was giving Aisha cute names. Or he was with Aisha playing and going and walking in the night and looking into the sky and something like this. Also we see from the Islamic way that it's important to have have a good behavior, to be romantic to your wife, but maybe not in the public because it's something private.
In short,
I mean, yeah, it is important, but also we go back to. I have a big problem with culture. We go back to culture programming men into not having to show emotion, and that emotion is not a manly attribute. Crying is considered, you're crying, you're not a man. That should also be eliminated because we can be as macho and as manly as we could, but emotion is what makes us. It's what defines us. And if I want to cry right now, then I will cry right now. So I don't feel. Again, that's something that should be culturally fixed because in our core we're different. We're not who we claim to be.
Okay. So, for example, it's getting close to the Cologne topic. So I give you the example. There is a young lady having eye contact with you, give you maybe some sexual messages. You interpret it as this. Okay. So for me, in short, it would be interesting for me to understand what happens if she makes these sexual messages, but you interpret it wrong, and at the end you get a rejection. How would you deal with this rejection, or how do Muslim men, let's generalize it? What would be the answer?
Rejection is difficult, but I have to keep in mind I do not want everyone, and I should not expect everyone to want me. Really, I should not expect everyone to want me. I don't care if you're Brad Pitt or Channing Tatum. Okay, not everybody wants everybody, okay? And that's something that we have to accept. So a rejection is just like I'm possibly going to reject people. I expect people to reject me. Should I make an approach into somebody else? It's difficult, yes. But we should also teach and our children and the people that we have an effect on that rejection is okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay to accept a no, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Plus, if you get rejected by a stranger, you'll never see them again. You don't have to worry about the embarrassment.
I want to make it more special, this last question. There is now a man getting rejected because she tells him, there is another man. I love him. The man gets jealous. How do a man feel? How do a man respond to a woman tells him like this? Ahmed.
I think this is also like something that depends on a man perspective. It's not. I don't think it has to do with Muslims or anything to do with Islam. It's just a thing that some men get crazy jealous. Some men act like what they just move on and think, okay, if she wants another man, then I also don't care about her.
It's not even a cultural problem, or would you say, of course, there are men, but not more than here in this society, they drive crazy?
I think in our society, in our culture, like maybe the men will get a little bit more jealous, and they will think it kind of affected their manhood, and they will be like, I'm gonna hit him, or I don't know, and I will do this to him, and I don't know. But it depends, I think, on the man and what his perspective about, if he's insecure about himself, and if he knows what he really is, and if he think if he value himself and he thinks, okay, and I don't care about this girl. Some people in Austria I have met. I know when after they get into a breakup or they catch their girlfriend or wife with something like this, they start drinking or they go and do some bad stuff, and maybe people handle the situation different.
I ask also this question because you said in the last video we did together, in Islamic countries men do often not know what the woman is because they never had a female friend and all they know is their mother or their female family member. What did you mean? I mean, is it a problem, or can this problem lead to handling a rejection like this?
Just to be clear, I don't think there's a thing. When I talk about Islamic countries, I'm talking about very, very, very specific, very conservative, what the media portrays as an Islamic country. That doesn't necessarily make them Islam, just like the Islamic State is not necessarily Muslim. So just because they claim they're Muslim, that doesn't mean that they're behaving in a similar way. I'm sorry, I just wanted to point out. Could you please?
No, if you said one major problem is that Muslim men do have in their culture.
Yes.
Not even so much Islam.
Yeah.
So, but in their culture they are separated.
Yes.
Maybe look at Saudi Arabia,
Yes,
where
yes.
men and women have different entrances.
Yeah.
So, is it the problem?
It's not only exclusive to Saudi Arabia at this instance. It's a Yemen problem. It's a Qatar problem. It's a Gulf problem. It's also other conservative countries' problem. Yes, it's very prominent. It's a thing that does exist. You have schools that are mixed boys and girls, but when you go to class, it's a boys only class and a girls only class. If I went to those schools, I lived in Yemen for a while, and we grew up, and I noticed the behavior of other people and myself, which was very different because those people don't really know what a woman is. They don't really understand it because to their understanding, they're building so much space and such a high wall between them. They don't know who they don't know that, they're not, I don't want to say people as well, but emotionally they are similar. They like to have fun and they like to laugh and they do this and they do that. And they're not I'm so shy and they eat tiny bites. No, girls are like boys, and that's being built upon. So the expectation is completely different, which will only lead to disappointment, which will only lead to problems, internal problems between a person and their significant other. And that's what I meant by that quote. I certainly, that's in a few select countries. But then again, you have progressive countries, Turkey, Indonesia, Lebanon, Jordan, and other countries, and Egypt, and other countries, and so on and so forth, which is, yes, it does exist, but I would call it the minority in which it happens, because some girls just want to go to a girls-only school, and that exists all over the world. Again, it also exists in the Middle East, but, exclusive to some countries. Other countries, it is the law, and that is where it becomes a problem.
Regarding to the Cologne incidents, can you agree, Haris, what Said just said, that this separation is not good in a way how Muslim men face women at the end?
I don't think so, because the most refugees we have now in Germany are from Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Lebanon. I don't think there are many from Qatar or from Saudi Arabia or from Yemen. And in Syria we have schools, we have universities where men and women interfere, where they go together. And I don't think that they are really, they come to Germany and see the first time a girl without hijab, and then the first time he stands next to a girl. I think it's not like this. It's not a problem of their culture, because we have in Germany now more than 1.2 million refugees now in Germany, and It's a normal thing that from 1 million people there is a minority of young men which has mental disorders, which do things like this in Cologne. You know, it's not only un-Islamic, it's unhuman to go and to make violence against women and to grab there and something like this. I think it's not a problem of the culture in the Islamic countries, as we can see in Islamic countries. It's a problem by the people, by the individuals, because they also showed on media that many of them were under alcohol and under drugs and so on. And nobody says the problem is alcohol or the problem are the drugs. No, everyone says the problems are the refugee, the problem is Islam. No, it's not. We have to difference.
Ahmad, when you hear this about Cologne, separation of men and women in certain Islamic countries, probably not now from North African countries or Middle Eastern countries, but how do you explain these incidents in Cologne?
I can only agree with him. I think it's just some individuals or some people who just have never seen maybe this big of a party at New Year's Eve and just went over the line with drinking and with partying, and then just did some things. I 100% think that was wrong, and that this is something that should not happen. And if you are a Muslim and you know what Islam really is, you know that this is totally and 100% not Islam. And I don't think that it has anything to do with separation or with schools, because also in our countries, after you finish the school period, you go to the universities, you go to work, and I know from my brothers, from my family, from my friends, how things go at work and how they live their lives, and especially in Dubai, like over there, maybe if somebody goes from Austria to Dubai, they will be maybe in some kind of shock, because how open they are, and how big everything is and how things works. So I think, as he said, it's just some people who went over the line and did something wrong.
Yes. No, Said, because you said this about separation, I did not mean that this is now this special cause of the incidents. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
to get back on your point, Harris. Yes, it's again mainstream Islam. Okay, mainstream. That does not necessarily mean all different views of Islam, because Islam is what you make it. What your ideology is. Mainstream Islam disagrees with partying to begin with in the first place. So we know that, and that's one. So them being there initially on mainstream Islam is not Islamic. It's not appropriate. That's one. Two, drinking. These individuals were drunk. Okay. Obviously, mainstream Islam disagrees with drinking and considers it a sin. So you know that these actions are not Islamic. We go back to, where do these actions come from? Who are those people, and where did their actions come from? Their actions have to come from somewhere. So is it a culture problem? Is it the way they were raised? Are they all mentally sick? I don't know. But I just want to point out, it's very important that we point out, and he said a very important point, that 1.2 million refugees in Germany right now, and you're bound to have, every house has a bathroom, okay? And you're bound to have bad people, just like that every country has bad people. That's why we have prisons, okay? Prisons are important, and every country has their bad people. So when you take 1.2 million people, you can only expect to have, in such a manner, you can only expect to have some people who are not going to behave in an appropriate manner. So one, this is not an Islamic problem, what happened in Germany. And again, the two reasons I have already mentioned. Two, I don't know what the problem really is, okay? But I genuinely believe that it's a cultural problem depending on how you look at it. And three, I absolutely agree with him. There's a certain way in which we should approach things. And again, I don't want to repeat myself, every house has a bathroom.
yes, there is one little question please give a short question. What I want to ask is the education in school. Is there a sexual education? Get young kids in Arabic countries, Islamic countries, are they got taught in sexuality?
No, there's none. I haven't studied. I went to Arabic school most of my life. Never once have I had a sex education class, and that's terrible because how else would they learn about their sex education? Through porn. Really, let's be real. Through porn. And is that realistic? Is that a proper approach? Is that a proper way for a teenager to learn? No, there's no way.
What do you say about this?
I can't talk about Arabian countries because I grew up here, but I learned in my grand school. I learned in the first class about sexuality, about men and women, but today we see that they want to teach children in the kindergarten about their sexuality, and also in the first class of the grand school. And I think that's a problem. It's too early, and we have to make it. For example, in the last class of the ground school, or maybe also in the high school. But it's important, I think, to have this from your family. To have a father, and to talk with your father about this, or that a girl talks with her mother about this, and that's important. And I think in the Arabic countries, I think they're a little bit shy to talk about things like this. But that's a problem. They can't be shy. They have to teach their children, the parents, first of all the parents, when they see it's a perfect age, and to teach them.
Actually, we learned a lot of this stuff in school. In
Dubai?
Yes, in Dubai, and I know that in Palestine it's also the same thing. We learned it around, I think, 7th or 8th grade, if I can recall correctly. But he is actually kind of correct. Most parents don't speak about this with their children. My father and mother, I can remember this, they sat us all, we are 4 brothers, and they talked about most of the stuff when we learned it, and they told us if this happens to you, any person, or if you see this stuff or see it, so be aware of it, or be careful, or don't listen, or so. But I know from my friends that their parents never talked to them about this. Even though we learned the normal stuff which you need in school, but
okay.
Harris mentioned that it's very. He doesn't feel like it's a good idea to teach children about sex education at a young age. One of the most mainstream entertainment sources for children are movies like Spider-Man, Batman, The Incredible Hulk, so on and so forth. Those movies are violent. What is worse, teaching a child about the most basic human need, such as sex, and teaching them about sex education? Or which is worse, sex education or people dying on TV in violent movies? So no, I feel like if it's okay to have so much violence being exposed to children at such a young age, then I feel like it's more important to also teach them about sex, because it's going to be a part of their life, and that's a very valid. That's a very important point that I'd like to touch on. Yeah.
Harris, I just wanted to know again. I'm sure you have friends in Montenegro.
Yes.
Do they have sex education?
Yes, also school in the middle school, I think, or some schools also in the ground school. But I would say it's not so like in Austria. In Austria it's more open, and it's common to talk about. But in Montenegro it's a little bit it's not common to talk about. Okay. It's only maybe one lesson, and that is all about the education.
Too little education in this
maybe
subject.
Yes, maybe.
So we get a lot of information in this round, and we could speak much longer, but on a final round I would like that you speak a few more words about the future of a Muslim man's role. What can be changed? What can be done? Is there anything needs to be done? Is it maybe integration courses, more school education? What you start, Ahmed? What do you wish for the future, or is there anything?